Well, good morning, everyone. I think we'll get started. I'm Mike McGurdy, Superintendent of the Tumwa Schools. I want to first, for the media, I want to thank the media for coming. We also have a packet for you today that each of you, if you don't have one yet, there's some over there if you want to grab. What that will have is it will have all the details of all of our new initiatives and changes. And that'll be helpful for you because today I think what you're going to find is that there's just a lot of different changes and a lot of exciting things going on in our district. And you can kind of refer to that. Also, if you ever have any questions, feel free to just contact me directly. I'd be glad to answer those if you do have those questions. But we thought today it made sense to have a press conference, mainly because I think as a district, we're looking at this as really a watershed period for our district. We have really done a lot of research. We've listened to our stakeholders, and what we recommended last night was not only far-ranging, it's going to have a dramatic impact on the educational system here in Tumwa. And so we wanted to kind of really kick it off today and make sure all of our stakeholders know what these changes are. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing as far as facility improvements and safety. And then each one of us that are sitting up here will talk about a different aspect of the changes that we announced last night. So with that, I'll kind of go into our facility upgrades. One of the things that came across in our research was that our parents and our staff really appreciate, really like our small personalized elementaries. And kind of with that information, what we decided to do as a district is upgrade our north side elementaries, reinvest in them, $8 million over the next 2 years to upgrade and keep that personalized and small school experience for our students. Additionally, over the next 2 years, we'll be looking at investing $5 million on our south side schools. And there are some really exciting projects that are in the packet, and then I'll mention later that will be going on our south side as well. So it's a big commitment, $13 million over the next 2 years, but it'll be exciting. It's going to create really quality learning environments for all of our buildings. And like I said, keep that small personalized experience. Additionally, one of the things that came out of our research this fall was really an emphasis on safety. Safety, as you know, is a concern in a lot of school districts. And we felt we need to be really proactive in addressing any safety concerns our parents or staff have. And so with that, over probably the next 3 to 4 months, we'll be installing new cameras in our middle school and high school, and actually adding additional cameras. And then we'll repurpose all of our cameras at those levels into our pre-K through elementary buildings. Additionally, we will look at putting in secure entrances in each of our buildings. As you may or may not know, right now we have several of our buildings that in order to get to the main office, you'd have to walk through the building to get there. And so what we will start working on this summer is having secure entrances going into all of our buildings as well. Another thing it's exciting to have is opening an addition at our preschool. We'll be finishing that up at the end of this summer. It's about a $5.5 million addition. At any time, I'd be glad to schedule a tour for the media to go through that. We're really proud of that addition. It will definitely make that a state-of-the-art, probably the premier, I truly believe it's a premier preschool in the state of Iowa. And so it's really exciting to have that as a resource for our district and our students. I think other things that we're going to implement for safety reasons, but also for social emotional, will range from adding a lot of different social emotional staff for next year. Some of those additions will range from guidance counselors. We'll be adding 4 total guidance counselors in our district, which will equate to basically lowering our student to guidance counselor averages significantly. But it will also provide those more social emotional resources, which we know translates into helping with social and behavioral issues. We also look at adding some diversity advocates to work with the migrant families. We are also looking at adding, as far as some behavioral specialists throughout our buildings as well. So we're kind of addressing any safety concerns twofold. One is through facility upgrades, and another one is through adding additional staff. We want, and I think we are, sending a strong message to our staff, to our parents, that we're all in. We're going to invest whatever we need to make sure they have the resources they need to have quality, safe learning environments. And our goal is to be the best school district in Iowa. And I think with the investments we are talking about today will take us a long ways down that road of making that happen. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lana, our Director of Elementary Education. She's going to talk more in-depthly about our elementary grades.
Good morning. I want to share with you one of the first recommendations we have is regarding class size. We know from our research study that class size was a concern for our families and our staff, and we did a complete study of that, looking back over the last few years for class size, and found that overall our district class size, K-5, ranged from 18 to 21, which is very reasonable. We did have pockets where that exceeded that. And our board policy recommends that we have 20 students in kindergarten through second grade. And we found that over the past few years, that had gone over that mark of 20, especially at kindergarten. So in our planning forward, we are going to ensure that we have that average of 20 in kindergarten through second grade. We also found that we had pockets where we exceeded board recommendation at the upper grades. Board policy recommends that we have no more than 24 students in grades 3 through 5, and we are going to make sure that we do not exceed that. In the past, we have had over 24 students in Liberty, for example, at different grade levels of the upper grade levels. So we were really going to hold tight to those board guidelines as we move forward, as we know that that's a concern for our families. Next, I want to talk to you about Title I. Title I is a program where we assist struggling readers, and we will be adding 2 teachers to our Title I staff. We currently have 7, and so we'll add a total of 9. And that was based on the recommendations and needs of our teachers requesting additional services. So we'll be adding 2 Title I teachers for the following year. And beyond that, I want to share with you that our district, again based on the research need from our families, is that we are going to create a state-of-the-art program for serving students with dyslexia or characteristics of dyslexia. It's very hard to be diagnosed as dyslexic because that usually takes a brain scan, but we do have many students. We know that 1 in 5 individuals have dyslexia or the characteristics of. And so we will be creating a state-of-the-art program. We are currently partnering with the Iowa Reading Research Center, and the Iowa Reading Research Center is connected with the University of Iowa and our Department of Education. And so we'll be coming back in February to bring details about that program. But with that, we will be adding a dyslexia specialist position. And that position will work closely with our teachers in implementing best practices and programs for serving our students with dyslexia.
Good morning. My name is Vern Reed, and I have a long title, but essentially my job is to work with the wonderful staff we have, the awesome kids we have, as it relates to helping those who are at risk for dropping out of school simply not do that. There are a number of things that appealed to my wife and I when we moved to the Ottumwa School District, but the biggest one was this. We all know alternative education has a very bad reputation across America, and in many ways it's well-deserved. But the Ottumwa School District doesn't see it that way. Alternative simply means finding a better way. In the Ottumwa School District, we're trying to find alternative and better pathways that fit the learning of each and every student, because we believe they are all our kids, and thus they need all of us along the way. So I'm excited in this commitment to improving our 712 alternative programming, which we already started in mid-February last year thanks to the guidance of the board and other leaders in the district. And our goal is really simple. We're tired of hearing about barriers to education. Ottumwa School District is working on creating barriers to dropping out of school and then partnering with places like Indian Hills, Job Corps, Iowa Works, and other great community partners who believe we can get this done for our kids, for our community. I'm pleased to introduce next to me is Jeff Kirby. He's the Director of Innovative Programming.
Well, thank you, Vern. I'm really excited here today to talk about Ottumwa School's focus to expand students' access to career technical education. In the fall, the school district had a unique opportunity to purchase the Market on Main facility located in the downtown community business district and within walking distance of Ottumwa High School. The Ottumwa Board of Directors approved the purchase of that facility, and in the fall of 2021, Ottumwa High School will be expanding its career and technical education offerings to be housed out of that facility. Based on surveys that we conducted, we found that we have a population of students that are not attending college. This same research also told us that we have students that are interested in a variety of career and technical fields and have interest in learning about different careers and jobs available in the regional area. In addition, the Flynn Wright information has guided us to tailor our programming that's advanced, that's personalized, and it's highly engaging. Some of the programming that will be expanded and housed out of the facility will be our family and consumer science courses, where students will be able to apply learned skills in a real-world environment, such as preparing meals for community members. Our business program will be housed out there, where students will have an opportunity to apply business concepts and skills and potentially even create a startup business. The computer science program will be added to provide students with programming that currently does not exist at Ottumwa High School. We will enhance our health science courses and increase the number of students that graduate OHS with their CNA and eventually enter the nursing field and other health-related fields. In addition, students will have access to engineering courses, a welding program that feeds into our welding apprenticeship program, and construction trades where students will build a house. In partnership with Indian Hills, these programs will align with Indian Hills programming and will provide students an opportunity to earn college credits while in high school and seamlessly transition to Indian Hills after graduation. We would just like to thank our career and technical teachers for their collaboration, along with Indian Hills with their continued support, and along with our Executive Advisory Council, which is made up of the local business and community leaders in Ottumwa. Now I'd like to introduce Marcy Dunlap, Director of Secondary Education.
Good morning. I have the opportunity to continue talking about how we're increasing the caliber of our programming, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the personalized learning we're going to be focusing on in Evans Middle School. We have a structure in place in the middle school called advisory, and we also have a strong school counseling program. And part of the improvements are going to focus on increasing not only the staffing in the school guidance program, but also in the delivery of our instruction in school advisory. Some of the aspects that we're going to be working on for that are including Restorative Circles, and that really is a strategy that focuses on relationship building as a service for students who have suffered adverse childhood experiences. We've already begun using an improved and heightened social emotional learning curriculum for our advisory at Evans Middle School, and it's something that we know is going to increase the strength of our relationship and connection with students, and it's also going to provide that one strong adult mentor that kids need to be successful in their lives. Moving on, we're also focusing on literacy at the middle school level, and that is going to be through our adoption of a pre-AP curriculum, not only in English language arts, but also in mathematics. A few things about pre-AP. It's a national curriculum created by the College Board. College Board is nationally known for its focus on college readiness, and we are very excited to begin sharing that with our students. Another important point to point out about pre-AP is that it's vertically aligned to the high school pre-AP exam. So in essence, we'll be starting to think about our students' college pathway as early as 6th grade. I'm very, very proud of this program, and I can't wait to see what the middle school staff does with it. Again, there'll be more information on the implementation of it at a future board meeting. Now I'd like to introduce Mike Steensma, Director of Student Services.
Ottumwa is committed to recruiting and hiring qualified educators to work with the diverse needs of our students and decrease class and roster caseloads for staff, allowing for more personalized learning for our students. After close examination of our staffing data and feedback from teachers in the community, Ottumwa Community School District is posting the following positions: an elementary diversity advocate to work with migrant students and families, additional pre-K-12 English learner teachers to work with our students who are learning to speak English, additional special education teachers to support students with disabilities, a work experience coordinator to help students with disabilities build vocational skills and plan for life after graduation, additional 6th grade English language arts teachers at the middle school, additional K-12 school counselors to help students develop academic and social skills, additional curriculum and instruction leaders for coaching supports for teachers, and 2 music teachers, 1 elementary and 1 at the middle school. By filling these additional positions, we will better meet the academic, social, emotional, language, and behavior needs of our students. Back to you, Marcy.
As a district, we also listened very closely to the needs of our staff that didn't have to do with more supports in terms of instructional positions. With an additional $300,000 allocation, we will be collecting teacher requests for materials and then vetting those and then getting those materials purchased for staff as soon as we can. That was something that we learned from the Flynn Wright Research Project, and we actually did a little more research on it to make sure we were meeting the needs of our current staff. Very happy to introduce Jay Green, who's going to share some of his thoughts on this investment initiative.
These announcements demonstrate the commitment that the Ottumwa Community School District has to the students and families of Ottumwa. And these commitments are substantial and proactive in addressing the current and future needs of the district. Families and employees are being heard and honored as the level of resources being invested demonstrates that this commitment isn't just words. Our elementary schools will be better equipped and positioned to meet the needs of our students in top-tier facilities that will make our community proud. Our students face challenges that in many ways their parents and grandparents do not. We have some of the very best and brightest students in our district, and yet what they need to successfully achieve their goals is significant. The school board, Mr. Rory, and the entire district are devoted to providing whatever is needed to support our students, and these actions being shared today are evidence of that. Having additional counseling at a building like James to support students' emotional needs, behavioral needs, as well as improved facilities will make everyone's job easier, more productive, and us able to meet the needs of our students. And I would introduce Dana Warnicki, the principal at Eisenhower.
Thank you, Jay. This is a unique opportunity for our district, and it's amazing that through the course of the work of gaining insights from all of our stakeholders, we're now putting into action lots of ideas to improve our student learning. I'd like to first acknowledge the dyslexia specialist. I know we're looking forward to learning alongside this specialist as we improve our reading instruction for all of our students. Also, it's an exciting time to add a guidance counselor in each elementary building. We know that all learning is social emotional, and so to have a guidance counselor working alongside of us to support all students in increasing engagement is a unique opportunity. So I'm excited about all these opportunities, and I really appreciate our board and our superintendent and Mr. Berg, our chief financial officer, recognizing the need and then supporting our work. I'd like to introduce high school principal Richard Hutchinson.
Good morning. What an exciting time to be a part of a district that has gotten together with all of the stakeholders, and they've worked to accomplish one goal, and that goal is to provide our students with a top-notch education and then opportunities that they may have once they graduate from high school. I also would like to commend our superintendent, Mike McGrory, for doing an in-depth study, but not only doing the study, but then following the guidance that the study brings back to us. I'm really excited about the safety part when we talk about the high school. It's an old building, and there are times where people just feel that we can do a better job. And working with Mr. McGrory, we have ways that we feel we can make Ottumwa High School a lot more safer for our kids. And we all know when kids feel safe, they are a lot more productive. Thank you. I want to introduce Mr. Aaron Ruff, principal of Ottumwa Middle School.
Good morning. Our children are our most valuable asset, and we all believe this to be true, which is why I am so excited about the vision of the Ottumwa School Board and Superintendent McGrory. There is a plan to update, upgrade, and add to our facilities to give every one of our students and parents an educational experience they can be proud of. We all want our students to be prepared as workers, professionals, entrepreneurs, and citizens. We all want the best environment for our students to grow. Those wants and hopes are really taking shape right now. The decision to purposely invest into our infrastructure is going to provide a rich, rigorous, and relevant education for all of our students. For example, piloting a pre-AP ELA and math here at Evans Middle School is something that will set us apart from other districts. I truly mean this when I say there has never been a better time to be a Bulldog. So I'm going to introduce our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. John Berg.
Thanks, Aaron. So I am tasked with reviewing and projecting the district finances into the future to see how all of these investments are possible without having any negative effect on the district funds or district property tax owners. Taking into consideration the investments discussed by the administrative team, the district is projecting solvency ratios, which are a measure of the district's ability to manage short and long-term demands on cash of 17 to 22%. The Iowa Association of School Boards recommends a target of 5 to 15% on this measure, a target that we're able to maintain and exceed. Some of the investments that are mentioned today, the facility investments specifically, of $13 million into our Northside Elementaries and other buildings, are going to be funded by the sales tax penny. This is the resource that districts use for capital projects. It is collected on all sales taxable purchases in the state. It is funded through to the districts based on our enrollment count. This tax was extended in May of 2019 out to 2050, and that allowed the district the ability to bond against those future revenues, of which there are no negative property tax consequences. They are totally separate from that, and the district are able to use those funds to fund investments into our facilities. As we mentioned, the increased staffing, there are several items that have occurred to help fund those positions without having to put the district in a difficult financial position. The first one is with growth of students in our district, along with reductions to students open or rolling out. We are receiving more funds through the state funding formula. The governor's proposed 2.5% for this upcoming school year. That would provide the district with close to $1 million in new funding that can be utilized for these positions. Rising enrollment numbers of students in special populations, such as English language learners, special education, and migrants, provide additional dedicated resources to add additional supports in these areas. The district also has received increased Title I resources based on census data showing that there was an additional financial need in Ottumwa. During the shutdown of school at the end of the 2020 school year, the district also realized some savings related to student transportation, staff training time, travel, utility costs. These savings are available for one-time purchases such as technology items, curriculum, and equipment. Prior year staff reductions have put us in a position to now add staffing where needed and use our existing resources to do so. We also have surpluses available in dedicated federal and state funds, such as Title, Migrant, Special Education, and those can be used for the additional staffing placed into those areas. And the board also approved an early retirement offering to staff this year, and this creates future savings that can be allocated towards investments in key areas. The district is also receiving resources related to the COVID pandemic. Those are designed to help address learning gaps, assist special populations, and support the school leaders with the necessary resources to meet the needs of individual students. And finally, the school board has called for a vote on a voted approved PEPAL this year. That is coming up in March. The district currently receives the lowest per pupil PEPAL resources in the state, and those funds are designed to maintain the facilities in the district through repairs and maintenance. If the voted PEPAL is approved, this will free up resources that are currently pulled from our general fund, which are used to pay for instructional costs, and allow those additional resources to be reallocated towards instructional staffing and programming. All of this has generated a situation where the district feels these resources and investments can be made without any negative effect to property tax owners in Ottumwa, and we are in fact anticipating a property tax decrease of approximately 50 cents evaluation, something that would bring us down to a level that hasn't been seen in Ottumwa in approximately 10 years. So with that, I'll turn it back to Mr. McGrory.
Thanks a lot, John. So as you can see, a lot of exciting things going on in our district. And I guess in closing, one of the things I think about is I've had the good fortune of being in exemplary school districts. I was in one district where you could make the argument it was maybe one of the best in Iowa. Another one was you could have made the argument it was the best in the nation. And I know what exemplary districts look like. I know what it takes to become one. And one of the things I want to emphasize is you have to have that infrastructure in place, and you have to have the right people in place to make something like that happen. And you can see from today, the people around me, we have incredible leadership in our district. We've got tremendous educators in our district, and we just have a commitment that has really impressed me across the board in all of our schools to doing what is best for kids. And now that we're also adding to that, the resources and giving people the resources that have these outstanding talents, I have no doubt that we're going to reach our goal of becoming that elite school district in Iowa, destination school. It's kind of ironic when we started the research was we were looking at ways that we could improve and grow through our research to address one of our issues we had as a district, open enrollment. And really what it's evolved into now is so much more. We think these initiatives will eradicate that issue for sure. But we have seized this as an opportunity to move our buildings, our district so much further. And what's going to be happening over the next couple of years will be exciting, and it will be dramatic for our students and our parents. And there's nothing more than that I want for this community is to have a school district that is one of the premier school districts in Iowa. And I'm just excited to be part of it. And with that, we'll open it up. If you have any questions for any one of us, we'd be glad to answer anything.
I was wondering what kinds of improvements or changes are planned for the elementary schools on the north side? Are they going to follow the recommendations that were brought forward a couple years ago in that study, or maybe different?
That's a really good question. Is that we will actually use that as a guideline for a lot of our things that we do upgrade in our north side elementary schools. What how I'd answer that though is I think there will be additional things added to it. And what I mean by that is we really want our staff, we want our building leadership to have a lot of input into what we know. Each one of those buildings have unique needs and needs that probably have not been identified in previous studies. And so we will actually start the process of working with those different elementary schools in February and getting their feedback on what they would like to see happen in those buildings.
Is there a timeline for when these changes are going to start? When you guys are going to start moving this into action?
Yeah, I think just Mr. Hutchinson said it well. Is what I didn't want this to become was a scenario where you do this research and nothing happens, or it takes a year or 2 years for something to happen. So the answer to that question is it's happening immediately. We're immediately starting to upgrade the facilities as far as planning what we want to do this summer. As you heard, we also have designated immediately access for our staff, $300,000. We are also upgrading a lot of the resources we talked about as far as additional staffing. We already have many of those positions posted already, and if we can hire for this year, we will. So it's starting right now, and we envision a lot of it being implemented by the beginning of next year.
I think it was Mr. Kirby had mentioned that there's a certain percentage of students that aren't necessarily going to college, a certain percentage that are dropping out. Do you have specific numbers on those?
Yeah, our data tells us that we have about 50% of our students that are not going on college after high school. Of those students, many of them are entering the workforce. And the dropout, I might refer that on to Vern. Do you know our dropout? Yeah. Maybe Vern can talk a little bit about our dropout to answer further your question.
So we're learning a lot about the dropout problem, not just in Ottumwa, but in Iowa. I don't have the exact figure with me, but you can assume if we're running senior classes of about 300, 330, and our graduation rate is above 90%, we're still losing 30 kids a year. And one of the things we're learning, and Mr. McGrory has helped me better understand this, is we have to continue to figure out how to be proactive at a younger level. And Marcy mentioned, research shows us, I don't know if you're familiar with ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experience. It's irrefutable, it's key to the process with every child. But the fact is, as we better build relationships, and we have staffs and people who are very good at this already, we better build relationships. It takes one adult in the school setting to keep a kid who's already at risk from dropping out. So part of what we're trying to do in this process is be more intentional in creating those relationships, because we have the people to do it, and we have the kids that need us.
I know social emotional has been a word that's been used a lot today and in recent meetings. Do you have a definition of what that is for people who might not be familiar with what that means?
Marcy or Lana, if you want to answer that, then feel free. Or Mike, actually, yeah.
I'm happy to jump in and then my colleagues can correct me. Social emotional learning is our instructional dedication to understanding the emotions and sometimes even anxieties or feelings that our students are having. If someone thinks that a public school system is solely academic, they are mistaken. So social emotional learning is our instructional investment in helping our students understand how to manage their feelings, identify their feelings, interact with others in a compassionate human way. So I'll turn that over to Mike Steensma or Lana Anderson so they can add to the definition.
And would we talk about the behavior piece? we're looking at what are those behaviors that students need to be successful at school and beyond school. So coming to school every day, being on time, being responsible. In other words, when the teacher assigns me work, I complete the work. So those behaviors that seem simple, that we may just think that every kid walks in the door with those. That's not the case. So we need to build those successful behaviors for our students. And Mike can help with this, I'm sure.
Social emotional learning involves a lot of capacity to regulate your own emotions, understand your own emotions, anticipate them ahead of time, so that our interactions with peers and with adults can improve. We've got students that are learning. They're learning how to interact with kids who are different than them, or who have different viewpoints, different histories, and to do that in as productive a manner as possible. And it's another skill, like the many skills that we teach in school, that we have to teach explicitly, and that's what we talk about when we talk about social emotional learning.
I think one of the things that's, having been in education as long as I have, one of the things you realize is that if you don't focus on both the academic and the social emotional, a lot of our students aren't going to have success today. Maybe when I started in education, the focus was that academic, but we just have a lot of students now that have a lot of social emotional needs, and if we don't address those first, it's going to dramatically impact what they can do academically. So they kind of go hand in hand.
Is the school going to be taking any extra steps with mental health due to COVID-19 causing a lot of mental health issues? Is that part of the plan as well?
Yeah, that's a great point. Is I think some of these are directly related to that. We see these as not so much just helping with COVID, though, isolation that you're alluding to, the mental health aspect of that isolation, not interacting with other students, being at home, those type of things. So that's certainly a piece of a lot of these additions, but we see this as ongoing, way beyond COVID. We do not see these additions as a 1 year or 2 year. We want these to be continual service for our district.
So we're making these $13 million, $8 million investments to upgrade facilities in the elementary school and other areas. How much of those projects are about trying to keep students in this district and not necessarily, dropping out, but maybe open enrolling somewhere else?
Yeah, I think that's a piece of it. I think what we're doing is we're upgrading our learning environments for all our students. And we know an ancillary impact of that will be attracting students and parents to our district. With those changes that we're talking about, it's going to be really interesting, I think exciting for our district to see the change of how people view our district. I think we have clearly made the statement, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. We're going to do whatever it takes to eradicate any perceptions that people have about our school district. And how you do that oftentimes is from within. Your staff, I think they can feel this, they can see it, and they know, and they're excited about what this means. And that's oftentimes one of your best spokes, groups that you can have for a district. And so it's really right now exciting to see all the talk about this and how just, excited people are about what the direction we're going.
I can have a follow-up question on, improvements to the elementaries in regards to trying to reduce class sizes. A lot of those buildings don't have any room to spare, so does that mean possible new additions to accommodate that, or, how do you reconcile the two?
Yeah, the good question is like Lana said, we are committed to not only having low class sizes, we're committed to having some of the lowest class sizes in this area. In order to do that, space sometimes is a necessity. And so we will look at our elementaries, and if we need to look at additions, one example might be our horseman. Would be an example that we may look at an addition in that building to address some of their space needs. So that's certainly a component of it.
Just kind of piggybacking off of that question, I know, I think it was Ms. Anderson was saying, you guys were at times going over recommended class sizes. How far over were you guys going in some cases?
Do you want me to answer that one, or do you want to answer it? Okay. What we had is, it was interesting to me when we really analyzed our class sizes, is that our overall class sizes are actually good. What we had is we had pockets of class sizes that were larger. And one of the ones that stuck out to me was our kindergarten class sizes. They were some of the largest in our whole district. And a lot of times class size is also perception. And when you're starting in our system in kindergarten and your class sizes are larger, you have this perception that that's going to continue. And so we are totally committed to eliminating that and staying within that 20 class size limit that our board policy has. But then we also, when we studied it, we saw that as you go up to the middle school, class sizes get larger as well. And you have the combination of coming from small elementary schools to a large middle school, and then your class sizes go up. Again, that gives the impression that you have large class sizes. Overall, our class sizes aren't bad at the middle school, but with what we're adding, it will dramatically lower the class size averages at the middle school. So what we did with class size is more target areas that were higher. A lot of our class sizes are some of the best already in this area for sure. So that was kind of our strategy with that.
Marcy, when you mentioned the $300,000 for resource requests and materials, is that new textbooks, technology upgrades, what was that?
It's not necessarily hardware in terms of technology upgrades. It could be hard copy materials, textbooks, anthologies, novels. It could also be digital software. We have teachers who are breaking new ground right now in terms of remote instruction, and what they're finding is there's a lot of digital applications that can help them be more effective instructors online. So it really runs the gamut from the way I had materials when I was in school to things that our departments or grade level teams might need to better impact or supplement our district curriculum. So it could be a mixture of both.
Any other questions? Well, again, on behalf of the whole group, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to come out today. Like I said, if you have follow-up questions, if you had a chance to read the information we provided you, I'd be glad to answer. Feel free to contact me. And we just appreciate your support and taking the time today to come out. Thanks so much.